Jalen Duren walked into this year without an extension, knowing that if he wanted to get paid next summer, he needed to improve and play extremely well. And through 8 games, is Jalen Duren making the leap?
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I'm going to tell you guys a quick joke about why I paused right there once we get through the intro here, but I want to thank all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free to web on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. Now, real quickly, the reason why I paused in between saying Koo and then Khahil is because I had a few people actually comment on the last YouTube video saying that when they watched or they listened to me only on audio platforms, they thought my name was Khahil. So now I see I have to start pausing. I have to say Koo. Wait a second, and then Khahil, so everyone knows that, that's my name. Just want to make sure everyone understood that. But today we'll be discussing, should Isaiah Stewart start next to Jalen Duren moving forward? And the Pistons just signed somebody to take up their last spot on their roster. Does this mean that Malik Beasley potentially returning to the team is finished, is done? We'll discuss that as well. But we're going to start off with, is Jalen Duren taking the leap that so many people wanted to see him take this year? And through 8 games, I think the answer has to be yes. Now, it's only 8 games. You guys know I like to wait until like the quarter. I like to evaluate the season in quarters. So around the 20-game mark, I would like to have a more of a final statement on how I felt about the first quarter of the season. So it's too small of a sample size now to have a big takeaway, I would say. It's not enough sample to have, yep, he's made the leap. It's here. But it is enough of a sample to say it's trending towards that. He is playing extremely well. His raw stats are 17.9 points, basically 18 points a game, 11.4 rebounds a game. He's shooting 61% from the field. He's almost doubling his amount of free throw attempts. He's at 5.9 free throw attempts this year. Last year he was at 3.1, and he's shooting 83% on these free throw attempts. The pick and roll between him and Cade have been absolutely exceptional, but I want to dive into some numbers here that really paint just how much better he's gotten and how much that's helped the Detroit Pistons directly. So I want to start off with, this is the first season in Jalen Duren's career with the Detroit Pistons where this team is better both offensively and defensively with him on the floor. You guys remember last year, it was a large talking point about how well this team played with Isaiah Stewart off the floor, how much better they were defensively. Looking at the numbers last year, the Pistons were they won their minutes without Duren by 2.9 points. They won their minutes with Duren by 1.1. So they were 1.8 points better with him off the floor. The main thing here is that the defense was over 6 points better with him off the floor this past year. And when Isaiah Stewart was on the floor defensively, they were at a tremendous defense. That was one of the main talking points people like myself had about Jalen Duren coming into this year, needing to prove that the team is going to be better with you on the floor. If you're going to command $30+ million, the team needs to be better when you're actually on the floor. They need to perform much better when you're on the floor. It can't be when you leave the floor they actually get better. That you're not worth that type of money if that's the case. And early in this season, the first 8 games, this is the first time in his career where the Pistons are infinitely better on both ends of the floor with him on the floor. In 211 minutes, Jalen Duren, when he's on the floor, the Pistons are winning by 14.3 points per 100 possessions. They have an offensive rating of 121.2 and a defensive rating of 106.9, which is absolutely ridiculous. When he's off the floor, the offense gets 13 points worse and the defense gets 8 points worse. The Pistons are overall 20 points better with Duren on the floor this year. This would mark the first time, again, in his career where the team is actually better with him on the floor versus off. That's a big development. Now, the question is, I mean, those are just some numbers to kind of back up my statement. Now, what I need to tell you guys is, why is that? Why is the team finally better with him on the floor? Why is the defense better with him on the floor? Why is the offense better with him, this much better with him on the floor now? I want to start with the offense. Number one reason, he's becoming much more, well, one, he's dominating the offensive glass, but he's always done that. They dominate the offensive glass. But he is becoming much more of a threat in the half-court offense. I told you guys this yesterday on the last podcast. He is scoring 1.41 points per possession on drives this year. That is insane efficiency. On 12 drives he's had this year, now it's not on a lot of volume, but it's enough volume to keep defenses honest and open up different avenues of their offense, especially out of DHOs. Out of those 12 possessions, he has a 74 true shooting percentage, and he's drawing free throws on 50% of his drives. And that's with him. If he's driving and he's drawing free throws on 50% of his drives, and now he's also shooting 84% from the free throw line, that's incredible efficiency. That helps the Pistons have another ball handling, another driver, another slashing threat to go with their half-court offense. So while they are not the greatest three-point shooting team ever, they are dominating the points in the paint. Actually, I want to we'll pull that number up while I'm talking here. I want to pull up the exact number. I believe they're number one in the league in points in the paint. But the overall point is that is happening because of Jalen Duren. Not just Duren, but he is contributing a large portion of that because of his ability now to get to the paint and drive himself. Create looks at the rim himself without needing a lob from Cade or a dump off from Cade. He's doing it himself. Yeah, the Pistons lead the NBA in 58.3 points in the paint. So they don't need to shoot 53s to win games. They're just punishing you in the paint. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, I kind of hit on it just now, but I want to bring it up again. He's become way more efficient at the free throw line. He's drawing way more free throws, and he's hitting his free throws, which, again, makes your offense a lot more efficient. I want to back up just how much better the half-court offense has been because of how well he's playing. So I did sense the Cleveland game. It's only 4 games, but I think you're seeing as you watch the games, this is to match with the eye test. If you're watching the games, you're seeing that the Pistons half-court offense is just flowing better. It's flowing better. Guys are getting open shots. They're passing it around. It seems like everyone's getting a lot more accustomed to what their role is. And obviously, like I mentioned, Jalen Duren's doing a great job of creating for himself. Over the last 4 games, the Pistons have the 6th best half-court offense in the entire NBA. This is after being a putrid half-court offense this past year, and also in the first 4 games being, again, a bottom 10 half-court offense. Over the last 4 games, they are the 6th best half-court offense in the NBA, and a lot of that has to do with, obviously, Cade is playing a lot better. You expect your best player to play better, so I don't think that's some random thing to pull from, but also you're getting like this additive stuff from Jalen Duren. So I think that's absolutely huge. You're seeing how the Pistons can have a good half-court offense despite not having the absolute most shooting on the floor. Along with this, he has been more engaged than I've ever seen him defensively in his career. He's engaged. His activity level around the rim has been great. He's been going after shots more consistently than he has at any other point of his career. I want Locked On Nuggets host Matt Moore, he tweeted this out. Opponents are shooting 17.8% worse inside 6 feet when Duren's contesting them. He's been a lot more aggressive as a paint defender. And I think you're seeing that. And the fact that he's playing a full season now, he's starting off the season with the SAR helps. He's playing to start the season with an engaged Cade on the defensive end helps. He's playing with Stu last few games helps. But it's a team game. It's team defense. And as long as he is not just simply being hunted out and can contribute to a team defense, that is really helpful. It really impacts the game. So I think that those are the reasons why, and obviously the Cade pick and roll with him has just been exceptional. And that's another reason why their half-court offense has been so good. But you're seeing him make the leap. If he can maintain this for the entire year, then yeah, he has made the leap. And yeah, he will get $30+ million if he maintains this for an entire season. I will say this, to be fair, because I'm not one of those people, you guys know this who listen to the podcast. I am fair, I am objective, I try to be objective, and I try to play both sides here. I try to make sure I'm giving you guys the analysis from both sides. While he has been tremendous, and by no stretch of the imagination am I trying to minimize it. He has been fantastic. And if he maintains this, pay him $30+ million. He has been incredible. It is fair to wonder, or not wonder. The way I should phrase it is this. I want to see how he continues to look defensively as they go against better competition. Because over the last 4 games, they did go against the Magic, who are struggling right now and don't really have a threat to 5. Mavericks were without AD. Memphis was without Zach Edey and who I forget the other big, Brandon Clark. Obviously he's out, but he's been out for a minute. But my point is, and then the Utah Jazz, who were without Walker Kessler now. These teams, these are good wins. I'm not minimizing it at all, but we know that Jalen Duren's biggest weakness is when he goes against a stretch big or he goes against an offensive heavy center. So he's playing great in this development. He sustains this, pay him. He has been tremendous. But let's just see I want to see how he looks when, like, they got the Bulls on November 12th. Does he look better on November 12th than he did at the beginning of the year when he played against Fuchs? Does he do a better job guarding him? Alex Sarr, they're about to play the Wizards on the 10th. Alex Sarr is having a great start to the season. He's shooting the 3 a lot better. He's creating a lot more offensively. Is Duren going to do a better job if he's moved out on the perimeter against him? They got the Sixers on November 9th. Obviously, Joel Embiid's one of the greatest players in the world when he is healthy. I'm not, that's going to be a hard, but you guys get what I'm saying. He's dominated to start the year. Let's see if he can continue that kind of consistent play, especially defensively, when the competition raises. But to answer the question, is Duren making the leap? So far, he 100% is. On both ends of the floor, he's developed and he's getting better. Let's see if he can sustain it. And if he does, the Pistons will be in great positioning moving forward. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. How do you guys feel about Jalen Duren's play so far? And do you guys believe he is making the leap right in front of us? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. Coming up, should Isaiah Stewart start moving forward next to Jalen Duren? We'll discuss it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with the Dash Pass the next day. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate bag. And we're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. So next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 for the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day. After a 50-point game with promo code, terms apply, no purchase necessary, ends April 13th, open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. That's DoorDash in your bag all season long. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Check out the description down below for the playback and the Substack. Both of those things will be there for you guys. If you guys want to watch live games with us for the playback, you want to subscribe to the Substack and get film breakdowns, which we'll have one coming to you guys tomorrow. But yeah, let's talk about Isaiah Stewart, who is playing extremely well. I mean, we've spoken about Stu very glowingly on the podcast recently, and he deserves it. He's been phenomenal, especially defensively. He has been, I think, the best defensive center in the NBA this year. Actually, I take that back. Let me take that back. I forgot Wemby. Wemby is the best defensive player by a mile across the league. So he's one of the best big man defenders in the league. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to put exact numbers out there because then people will argue about, well, is he better than this guy too? Is he 3? Is he? He's just one of the best defenders in the league at the big man position. In minimal minutes, he's averaging over two blocks a game in like 24 minutes of action per game. It's ridiculous how great he's been defensively. And he's been more aggressive offensively. We've seen him have a career-high points a few games ago. We've seen him be extremely aggressive as a three-point shooter over the last few games as well. And the Pistons have been winning. Last 2 games, they've been without Tobias. They started Isaiah Stewart at the 4 position. and they've won both of these games. Now, I'll go ahead and spoil a little bit of the final segment of the podcast, but you guys will make sure you guys stay tuned for that still. But they did just fill their 15th roster spot with Isaac Jones, who is a center. There's some people saying he's like a 4 or 5-ish, but he's a big man. So that leads to a lot of fans I've seen ask the question, are they gearing up to start Stu moving forward? Do they want Stu to start next to Duren moving forward? When Tobias comes back, is Tobias going to be out a little longer than people think? Or one or two, are they just wanting to start Stu moving forward? So I want to tell you guys the numbers with Stu and Duren on the floor so far. It's a very small sample size, but it is what it is. In the 74 minutes that they've played together, they are dominating teams. They are winning their minutes by 22 points per 100 possessions. They have an offensive rating of 125.5 and a defensive rating of 103.4. Now, it's a very small sample size. I do not think that the offensive rating will remain at 125.5. That's ridiculous. I don't think the defensive rating will remain at 103.5. That's also, like, these are two ridiculous numbers. So I don't think it will maintain at those numbers, but nonetheless, the trend looks like the offense is still good enough, and the defense is much better with them both on the floor. So should they start them both moving forward? I am in the camp of no. I do not believe this should be the case for a few reasons. One, Stu, I think, has finally found, I said this all last year, I said it all offseason, I thought Stu finally found where he's at his best, and which allows him to play to his absolute peak performance, and that is as a backup 5. One of the reasons for this, or one of the reasons why I say this, is because we know Stu fouls a ton. Now, actually, over the last 2 games, he's done a really good job not fouling. He's only had 1 foul in each of the last 2 games. But before then, we talked about it. He was averaging like 6 fouls per 36. He was fouling a ton. He was fouling out of games. He fouled out of a game, 4 games ago? And just like 18 minutes. Yeah, against Orlando, he fouled out in 18 minutes of action. So he fouls a ton, but that's because of how physical he plays and how he goes after every single shot. And you don't want to take that away from him. So that's one of the concerns I have about it. If you play him next to Duren and he's playing 30-plus minutes a night, he's done a good job of it these 2 games. I will give him that. So maybe it's not as big of a concern as I think it is. But the way he plays, I think, it's going to be hard for him to not be in foul trouble. So that's number 1. Number 2, the last few games have required him, when you play him at the 4 position, teams are funneling the Pistons to kick out to Isaiah Stewart and let him kill them from beyond the arc. Now, Stu has improved as a 3-point shooter. We all know this. A few years ago when he was shooting 3.8 attempts a game, he shot 38%. This year, through 8 games, he's shooting 39% on 3.5 attempts. However, that was majority, a lot of it was coming in the first 6 games, where he wasn't having to take as many threes. The last 2 games, when he started, he's had to take 7 threes a game. First game, he took 8. This past game, he took 6. He only made 2 in both games. So he shot 33% this last game and 25% the game before. Now, look, I've said this before. I am okay with Stu being aggressive. If it's open, I want him taking it. I'm not saying he shouldn't take them. What I am saying, though, is I don't think you should want him to have to take this many threes. I don't think you should want him to be in a position where the offense is coming down to, they're helping off of Stu. They want him to shoot a 3, so therefore we are then outletting it to him a lot. I mean, 8 threes in a game is a lot. That's a high volume, and you're going to it a ton. I feel like not only are you putting him in a bad position by doing that, because I don't think Stu's a high-volume 3-point shooter. I think he's a good 3-point shooter. You keep him around 3 to 4 attempts. But high-volume 3-point, I don't think that's who he is. So I think you're putting him in the wrong position, and then I think you're also putting the team in a difficult position if that's what's happening within the half court. Now, the counter to that is that through 2 games, with Stu starting, they've scored 114 points both games, which is, fair. And then, obviously, like I said, what the numbers look like with Jalen Duren and Stu on the floor so far in those limited minutes, the offense is still working. And then the other counter would be the defense looks incredibly better with Stu and Duren and Asar and Cade on the floor. Like, they're just clamping teams. Their defense has been extraordinary. Actually, you know what? I know that this is probably like it may not even be 20 minutes of sample. Let's look at it. Yeah, I mean, you got look, we're working with really small samples here. So I do not read too much into this at all. Like, these are very small samples. But in the very early sample that we do have, Isaiah Stewart, Duren, Cade, and Ausar on the floor together, they have a defensive rating of 102.9 and an offensive rating of 130.4. I mean, they're pummeling teams when they play together so far. So I see the side of the people that are saying it looks good with Stu in the starting lineup. The defense is so good, and the defense is so good that it's transitioning into good offense, as much like we talked about with Ausar this past year. Same thing with Stu. It's creating good transition offense, fast break offense, and you're just dominating teams on the glass, and you're dominating teams in the paint because of it. I get that. I just don't believe that you want Stu taking that many threes. And I think he doesn't have enough fluidity, and he's not as agile at the 4 position to really attack. He's not going to be attacking closeouts. He's not going to be able to have, bail him out in a half-court possession like Tobias can, go to a post-up ISO, get a good shot, draw some free throw. Tobias, they need offense. I know that this is a defensive team, and they were a good defensive team with Tobias this past year. But the main weakness of this team is they do need individual half-court scoring. And Tobias is probably the second best player on the team with individual half-court scoring right now. So I don't think you can sit Tobias. I think he's too important to what they do. He brings spacing. He's able to attack closeouts. He's able to ISO. He's able to get his own bucket. He's able to do all those things while also having size and competing hard defensively, also with having a veteran on the floor. So, and Tobias is good. Like, I sometimes I feel like people take shots at Tobias for no reason. Tobias is good. He's been good for the Pistons since they signed him. Like, I feel like some fans take shots at Tobias. I don't really like that. Tobias has been really good. So, no, I don't think you continue starting Stu and Duren. Once Tobias is healthy, I think you start Tobias. What I will say, though, is I do think that even when Tobias is healthy, if the sample continues to get larger and larger of you playing Stu and Duren together, especially with Cade and Ausar, maybe you go Cade, Ausar, Tobias, Stu, and Duren one game closing. Maybe you do something like that. Who knows? But my overall point is you play them still in spurts, continue to do it, and as the sample continues to grow, if they continue to just be exceptional and they continue to just dominate those minutes, then I would say you'd start to increase how much you play them together. Maybe you get Tobias out first and you let Stu start with Duren and you let them play together for a while. Maybe you close games with Stu and Duren on the floor. Like, maybe you do things like that. You can sprinkle that lineup together throughout a game if it continues to look good and get them good sample size together. You can do that. I think it's a little too early to try to rush into, okay, there you go, let's start Stu and Duren, because I think there's legitimate questions, and I still don't believe Stu is a 4. He doesn't have the ball handling for that. He doesn't have the offensive game for that. He's good with what he does. I love Stu. I just don't know if we should be rushing him into trying to be a starting 4 after we finally found out that he's great as a 5. He's great as the backup 5. And I think what I'm willing to concede is that I thought that you just should not play him at the 4 at all. Just don't do it. I don't like the double bigs. Just don't do it. So far this year, I will concede that maybe he can do it in spurts with Duren, and it really does help the team because it helps him defensively and creates good offense because of the defense. So I will concede that maybe you should do it more in spurts. Maybe you should get this sample higher. But I am not on board with the starting Stu, and I think you still, once Tobias comes back healthy, you start Tobias. The caveat being, if Tobias is out, I don't know, like, I hope he's not. I hope he's back next game. Like, I don't want him to be out at all. But let's say, knock on wood, that he does happen to miss maybe like 2 weeks or something. Maybe the injury, the ankle sprain is a little bit more serious than they let us know, which with the Pistons, it's not past them. Let's say he's out for like 2 more weeks. And during those 2 weeks, they continue to start Stu, and they just continue to obliterate teams. Now, if that happens, if that were to happen, then we can revisit this in 2 weeks and be like, okay, we got a much larger sample size of this. It's working. Let's not mess with it. But 2 games is not enough for me to feel like you should bench Tobias, because my eye test tells me and just understanding basketball tells me you need Tobias. He brings half-court scoring. He brings spacing. He attack closeouts. He's able to do all those things that you need in a modern-day 4, where Stu is only able to do it in spurts, I believe. Again, with the caveat, if it goes on for 2 more weeks and Tobias comes back and they're still dominating, maybe then we have a conversation. But right now, I don't think you start Stu over Tobias. I do think you need to get Stu more minutes, though. I think Stu still needs to be trying to play 28 minutes a game. Like, try to give him as many minutes as possible. So, again, if that means staggering him more with Tobias, then fair enough. But I wouldn't start him at this point. Let me know. Comment section down below. Over on Twitter, at Khahil. Would you guys start Isaiah Stewart even when Tobias gets healthy? Or do you believe, let's calm down, let's start Tobias still, but just try to get Stu some more minutes? Let me know where you guys stand with it. Comment section down below or over on Twitter, at Khahil. Coming up, is the Malik Beasley dream done? Is it over with? The Pistons filled their final spot on their roster. Does this mean Malik Beasley is never coming back? We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now I got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with injury, I absolutely love this with Prize Picks. The injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. I think that's absolutely big time. So, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDINNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDINNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. That's what Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Now, we're about to talk about the subject that I cannot wait till this is over. I do not want to. I am so done with this topic, but it gets brought back up again today. The Pistons walk into this season, they had 14 roster spots. They had 1 spot open. They still have cap space. Let me say cap space. They're still way below the tax. So they have 14 roster spots, which a lot of people believed, rightly so, is that they're keeping that 1 roster spot open in case things clear up with Malik Beasley. Or maybe if they want to use that TP that they still have, which, by the way, I don't think they're going to end up using it. But nonetheless, they want to use that. Or it's basically Malik Beasley. If things get cleared, you can bring him back. You have a roster spot open in case it has to happen. That is until today. The Pistons claimed former Sacramento Kings center Isaac Jones off of free agency waivers, and he will take up the Pistons' 15th roster spot. With that happening, does that kill the possibility of Malik Beasley coming back? No, it does not. Kyle Metz, we've had him on the podcast. He's like the Detroit Pistons salary cap guru. He tweeted this: by claiming Isaac Jones, the Pistons take on his contract as originally constructed, fully non-guaranteed $1.9 million becomes fully guaranteed on January 10th. Essentially, the longer he is on the roster, the more his salary is guaranteed. Which means to me, how I read into this, is that the Pistons have until January 10th to release him if something were to happen and not have to pay off all of his contract and then bring in whoever they want by then. But once January 10th comes around, I don't think they would just drop someone that has guaranteed money. Even though it is just $1.9 million, I don't think they would do that. I guess if Malik Beasley is available after January 10th, maybe they say it's more important to get him, so we'll eat the $1.9 million. So, maybe, but it seems like to me that January 10th is kind of like they'd like to have a decision before then, or they'd like to feel comfortable before then. So, no, it doesn't kill the idea of Malik Beasley still coming back to the Detroit Pistons. However, I tweeted this, and a lot of Pistons fans were upset, but I want to read you guys what I tweeted. I said, if Jones is taking the final spot of the roster, I believe we know what that means. A lot of fans were upset, so I followed up with, I wish I shared fans' blind belief that Trajan Langdon is operating this season and handling this team's roster with the quote, but Beasley might get cleared if this major investigation ends soon. I don't feel like many people understand what is going on with Beasley and why I believe it would be so foolish to just operate as a president of basketball operations. I don't think Trajan's doing, but how foolish I believe it would be to be operating your team that has legit hopes and expectations this year and has a team that's actually playing well right now and has so many other things going on. If in the back of your head you're making roster moves or making decisions with the, well, yeah, but what if Malik Beasley gets cleared? Like, I think that would be absurd. I think that would be insane to be operating your team in that regard. One, because while Malik Beasley was great for the Pistons, he's not like a superstar to where you need to be, oh, well, what if he gets cleared? We got to make sure we have this, or we got to like that. He's not that, like, he's a good player. He helped the Pistons an absolute ton this past year. He had a historic season, but he's not that good to where you should be operating your whole roster with that. That's one. But the main thing here is this. If people aren't following the NBA out of any sports league right now is under the biggest microscope when it comes to this gambling stuff. In case you don't know, but what's going on with Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, and Terry Rozier, pretty serious stuff. The FBI is involved. Pretty serious stuff. And the FBI has a big scope on the NBA right now. And the NBA especially looks bad because they cleared Terry Rozier just for the FBI and come back and say, no, basically you guys messed up. He wasn't cleared. He actually did this, and now we're going after him. So now the NBA for the last few weeks has had pie in their face, and they've looked bad because it looks like they don't know how to control this. And it looks like they don't know how to handle this. I bring all that up to say Malik Beasley is currently under investigation for gambling. It is the same thing that the FBI has going on with the NBA. I am not trying to get too crazy into it, but where I've reserved myself to is, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and he ends up getting cleared tomorrow or next week and now he's back on the Pistons and they just waive Isaac Jones. I mean, great. They have Malik Beasley back. That'd be great. Not saying that it's impossible, I guess, because none of us truly know, I guess. I find it incredibly hard to believe, and to the point of just blind optimism, that you are watching the scope that the NBA is under right now, with everything that is going on, and every NBA team knowing the scope that is on them right now, and how bad they look in this regard with the whole gambling stuff, to think that this investigation, one, is ending anytime soon. Two, that any NBA team really wants to get close to touching any situation like this anytime soon with a player. And three, to think that the FBI is in some, or that the investigation is in any kind of rush to get this done in order to pay a favor to Malik Beasley. Everything we've seen happen with the league and everything that's happened suggests the complete opposite. It suggested the utter complete opposite. So I am in the camp of Malik Beasley is not on this basketball team. He is probably not going to be on this basketball team. He is under investigation for something that is a pretty big deal. Whether you believe he did it or not, I'm not speaking to whether he actually did it or if he gets. That's not my point. I'm not speaking on his innocence. I'm speaking on the investigation simply going on at the same time of everything else that's going on with the NBA. They don't need any more bad looks. And there's no way that I believe that the investigation is going to be hurried by the government. It's not going to be hurried up to do a favor to anybody. You know, Terry Rozier was under investigation for over a year. Like, these things, and I believe in the documents they said they've been investigating these guys for like over 2 years. Like, it's been over 2 years of evidence they've been trying to, like, if Malik Beasley gets cleared soon, I mean, great. That would be fantastic. But I believe that thinking that's going to be the case is just blind optimism when everything we're seeing happening with the NBA when it comes to gambling and the investigations that are currently going on and how big of a deal it was and how big of a pie in the face the NBA had after basically missing what's going on with Terry Rozier. I am now in the camp of it's not happening, and I don't want to keep talking about it. I don't want the roster, and I don't want the front office to be operating with in the back of their head. Well, we gotta make sure we remember that Beasley could come back, because I think there's a large chance he's not. We've just heard that there's other teams outside of the USA are heavily interested in Malik Beasley because he may not play. I believe that there is a much larger chance we don't see Malik Beasley play NBA basketball this year. So operating with the Beasley, I think is foolish. So that's where I stand with it. I guess to wrap up the segment, does this mean the Pistons will not be able to bring Beasley back if he is cleared? No, that's not what this means. However, I do believe Trajan has moved on. I think Trajan, if it happens to come up, he will, he kept flexibility open. January 10th is not even fully guaranteed till then. So if something happens before then, he has the flexibility to make a decision then. But I think Trajan has moved on in the regard of, I'm not going to continue to make my roster. I'm not going to continue to make moves. I'm not going to continue to have this, Beasley, because I think that would be foolish. I don't think he's doing that. And that's how I'm doing it. So I think fans, I keep seeing fans say, when we don't even have Jane Ivy or Beasley yet. Well, okay, Ivy's coming back. Beasley is not on this roster. He doesn't have a contract. And we don't know if he's ever playing NBA basketball again. So saying, well, Beasley's not even back yet, he may never be back. I'm real tired of this whole thing. I just want to get wrapped up so we can stop talking about this guy. I think this is one of the most annoying topics I've had to talk about over and over and over again. It's so frustrating. So let me know. The Pistons can still sign Beasley if he gets cleared. That's basically the answer here. But I had to go on my rant about why I think continuing to talk about this is frustrating. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free to on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.